episode of Messy Creative STEAM brought to you the Prosper Community Library. Today we're going to work on a density recipe. And when I talk about density, what I'm talking about is mass divided by volume. Density equals mass divided by volume. Mass is how much something weighs. Volume is how much space that object takes up. So let's say if we had water in a measuring cup, the volume would be how much space this water takes up. And when I talk about mass, it would be how much that water weighs in this cup. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a two-step experiment. What you're going to need is you're going to need some water. You're going to need vegetable oil. You're going to need Karo syrup. You'll also need some food coloring. I'm also going to use objects in this experiment, such as just a top to a liquid drink, a grape, and a screw, just a metal screw. And I would also recommend a nice, just glass container that's see-through that'll help you see the different layers and densities of a liquid. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I've taken my Karo syrup, and as you can see, it's a pretty thick syrup, and I have put some red food coloring in it, but you can do whatever color you'd like. I am also going to take some water, and I'm going to put some green food coloring in here. And the only reason why I'm doing this is just so that you can see the different levels of liquids a little bit easier. Give that a little stir so it's nice and green. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to take my container like so. I'm going to go ahead and pour some of this green liquid, let me get this so you can see it well, into the bottom of my container, like so. Everybody see that? All right, now we're going to decide what happens here. Now this is a really thick liquid, Karo syrup. I wonder what's going to happen to the water when I pour the Karo syrup into the container. Let's find out, shall we? I can already see things happening. Here. Now, as you can see, what is now at the bottom of our liquid? Looks like it's pretty red down here at the bottom, and then I can see that the green is happening here. What do you think is going to happen when I pour the vegetable oil in it? I bet there are lots of interesting ideas or hypotheses out there of what you think is going to happen when I do that. Let's find out. I'm going to pour this liquid in, and this is kind of a yellowy color. Go ahead and do that. I might even pour in a little more green water in here, to give it a little more of a level and a little more oil. Now, as you can see, things are happening. I'm going to let it sit here just a few more seconds, and we'll be right back and check on our levels. Okay, everybody, we've let our liquid sit for a little bit, and as you can see, we have 3 clear levels of liquids. Our bottom layer is the Karo syrup that we dyed red, the middle layer is water that we dyed green, and the top is just the vegetable oil. So by doing this experiment, what we do know is that Karo syrup is the most dense because it sunk to the bottom. Then the water was a little less dense, so it actually sits on top of the Karo syrup, and that the vegetable oil is even less dense than water, which is why it sits on the top. So we can say that vegetable oil is the least dense, and Karo syrup is the most dense liquid. Now let's do a little extension of our experiment, and let's find out what objects are more dense or less dense. Okay, here we go. Let's start with our metal screw. I'm going to plop it into our liquid and let's watch what happens. Wait, what do you think is going to happen? Let's find out. Bloop. Okay, it appears that our screw is right down here on the bottom. So it must be more dense than the Karo syrup because it sank all the way to the bottom. Let's try our plastic top from a little bottle of water. Here we go. I wonder if I push it in a little bit, what happens? Oh, wow, this one is less dense than, oh wait, is it moving? Uh-oh. Oh man, it's starting to sink, but guess what? It looks like it's going to stop here in the vegetable oil. That must mean it's more dense than the vegetable oil. That's why it's sunk, but it's less dense than the water. That's why it's sitting on top of where the water is. Okay, let's try a grape. Here we go. What do you think is going to happen to this grape? Do you think it's going to float? Do you think it's going to sink to the bottom? Let's find out. Wow! I hope you can see this well on the computer here, but we have got a grape that is sitting on top of the Karo syrup. That little round ball right here must be less dense than the Karo syrup, but more dense than water. And that is why it is sitting on top of the Karo syrup at the bottom level of the water. Wow, that is a really cool experiment. Maybe you can find some more objects to find out what items are more or less dense in your liquids. Hope you guys had a great time. See you next time.